All right. Good morning, everybody. It's Bernard Nomberg. It's 10 o'clock on a Tuesday, and we are here for our weekly Nomberg Law Live, a show I've been doing for about 4 years now, and I really enjoy my conversations each week. And I've got a buddy and colleague of mine, Derrick Mills, as my guest. Hey, Derrick, how's it going, bud?
Hey man, I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on here.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you've got some time. This is a conversation I've been wanting for us to have for a while. And for those of you who don't know, Derrick, he is with Marsh, Reichert, and Bryan Law Firm here in town. Derrick fights the good fight. He has, for many years now, represented folks who really have needed his help and his firm's help in many things, whether it's a product's liability, a serious personal injury, and the like. But Derrick, I'm going to let you tell a little bit more about your practice and your firm, and then we're going to kick it back to Fayette County and some good old times.
Good, good. Since you say it that way, I'll just briefly talk about my practice so we can get back to the good stuff. So yeah, you said it right. I'm a trial lawyer is the way I describe myself. All types of civil litigation, primarily representing the little guy, usually the little guy versus the big guy, which is very important to me, and I hope we'll talk more about that later. Uh,
Absolutely.
we do everything. It's all serious litigation here at Marsh, Riker, and Bryan. You know that. Uh, I have developed a little bit of a niche, which is medical malpractice world. And the reason for that is uh, lately, I think regular folks are just starting to get it that the medical field, nothing right or wrong or good or bad, but it's a business. It's a for-profit business, and so they don't necessarily treat us the way we want to be treated all the time. So I've sort of developed an interest in that.
Well, you're so right about that, in that it's so difficult in the state of Alabama, the way that the laws are written under the Alabama Medical Liability Act, that it really is very lopsided. It's very heavy-handed in the favor of the doctors and the medical professionals, and that's just the way that it is. But very few lawyers, such as yourself and some others who are truly dedicated to evening that playing field, really take on that fight. It's very expensive, it's very time consuming, and the odds are stacked against you. But I know that you're firm and you have such passion for that type of work. And I certainly, on behalf of myself as a fellow practitioner and many others who need that in our world, thank you for that type of work. But let's get off the lawyer talk for just a few minutes. Not many folks know that Derrick is a proud product of Fayette County, Alabama, just north of Tuscaloosa in the west side of our state. What was life like growing up in such a metropolis, such a booming big town? How many stoplights? No, I kid with you, but talk about life in Fayette County growing up.
Yeah, no, listen. So first of all, you got to get the wording right. It's fit. It's not Fayette.
Apologize. You're so right. I've only been through there. I am not from there.
Right. Well, everybody will gladly correct you if you start pronouncing it the wrong way. But so Bernard, I used to tell people life growing up was rough. I grew up dirt poor in the country in a very, very small town, and grew up with a single parent mom who had 5 kids, worked 2 to 3 jobs, and just really, really, I thought life was really rough. Key phrase there, I thought. Growing up now and being an adult, I'll tell you, I couldn't have had a better childhood. I couldn't have had a better upbringing because it prepared me for everything I am today. I am a country boy through and through, but obviously those same lessons that you learn as a little boy that mama instills in you, that the high school football coach instills in you, those are things that you need in the practice of law doing what I do for a living.
And Derrick, I know a little bit about your background, but what folks may not know is how important mentors have been throughout your life. And we're going to start with your mom, who I know is no longer with us, and for being a single parent and 5 children. I know that wasn't easy for her or for you guys, but talk a little bit about your mom and your family life growing up a little bit
I,
more.
I will, but man, you just almost gave me a heart attack. No, my mom is still with us.
Oh my. Oh
Uh,
my, then I
no,
misread something. I humbly apologize, Derek, for that.
no problem, no problem. I talk
Ooh.
about her so much like she's an angel that maybe that's why you thought that
Oh
she dealt
boy,
with
that is
it.
truly my fault, and I apologize to your mom.
No problem, no problem. So no, mentors are very, very important, and that's why I do what I do today. Not just practicing law, but hopefully we'll talk about some of the things that I'm most passionate about. But my biggest mentor from day one as a little kid is mom. Mom taught me hard work. Mom taught me take pride in what you do. My mom, like I said, growing up, worked 2 to 3 jobs, could, just to make ends meet. And the beauty of what she did is she would bring us onto those second and third jobs. I mean, I've cleaned houses with my mom. I worked as a clerk, stocking drinks and stocking merchandise. And so, not only teaching us the value of hard work, but actually doing it right there with us. And as a kid, you find things that are fun, and you try to make games out of it. One quick story about my mom. I may have shared this with you already. So my mom used to have little games and little excursions and trips for us, and we'd go on these fishing trips, and we thought that was the coolest thing ever. Later in life, what I found is we were doing that to have something to eat that night, and so if we didn't catch our food, we weren't going to eat that night. Growing up, you just thought mom's the coolest thing in the world. She's taking us fishing, but there was another purpose there. So,
Wow.
mom, absolutely biggest mentor. But Bernard, I've just been blessed with good mentors throughout. I mean, every single teacher that ever taught me at Fayette, I consider a mentor. Every single one. Uh, I have to probably set apart my high school football coach and my high school principal as being the ones that first taught me that, hey, listen, with education and keeping your nose clean and doing the right thing, you can go anywhere you want to go. So let me just mention by name Coach Walden Tucker and Principal Mr. Radford Hester. Let me just mention them by name. But I've been blessed, and if we keep going, I'll just tell you, it's almost embarrassing the level of mentorship I've had, and so I feel obligated to give it back.
Well, everybody needs guidance throughout their life, no matter how smart you are, no matter your humble beginnings or how financially well off and your place in society, whatever you want to call. No one gets there on their own. And if they do, then they may not appreciate how they got there or the importance of what it means. I know that you go into the University of North Alabama, you had mentors there. You clerked for some very impressive and important people at different times. So I want you to share, if you don't mind, Derek, a little bit more of your story about how the president of the University of North Alabama made an impact on you. And then
Yep.
let's just keep going with Senator Heflin and Judge UW Clement.
So it's all together, and this is how God works. So Principal Hester grew up in North Alabama, in the Shoals area, really, really, really close to Senator Heflin, really, really close to President Robert Potts, who also have to mention him by name. Big, big, big influence over my life. But so they're all in the same circle. Senator Heflin wanted to create a scholarship for a country boy like me. He wanted it. He specified I needed it to be an African American, and he also specified that it needed to be a first generation college student who's going to UNA. Well, it didn't take long for Principal Hester to figure out, all right, I got your guy, and it's Derrick Mills. So Senator Heflin took me under his wing, and Bernard, I'll tell you, not only paid my way to college, it was supposed to be a one-time scholarship, but I would do weekly meetings with him and just sort of update. I say weekly, it may have been monthly, but I would give him updates on how it's going, the transition between Fayette and UNA, and just sort of talk to him about the different things that I'm doing. And it turned into a true mentor-mentee relationship, and, impressed him so much, hopefully, that he just paid my way through UNA. The entire time at UNA, I never paid a dime. It gets better than that. When it was time to apply for law school, for Alabama Law School, I didn't make as well as I wanted to make or needed to make on the LSAT. Senator Heflin made a couple of calls. Next thing you know, not only am I admitted to the University of Alabama Law School, but he paid my entire way to Alabama Law School. And so, yeah, that mentorship piece runs through and through. And again, those same messages always held true. You work hard, you keep your nose clean. That's how the country boys say it, but have good integrity, and do what you're supposed to do, handle your business, and it just falls into place. And so at UNA, President Potts, big, huge mentor of mine, who then introduced me to UW Clemson. I had a clerkship, which a federal clerkship, very, very impressive. I had one of those secured by the time my first year in law school. It was already secured because of the relationships.
And those relationships are just so vitally important in our lives. And I don't want to overlook the fact that, one, you were a motivated guy and still are. Two, you have the brain power, you have the motivation, you have the drive that's so vitally important. Just because you were ultimately admitted into law school didn't mean you were going to succeed. You had to put forth the time, effort, and energy that I suspect when you were growing up, you saw firsthand how your mom put in all that hard work and that time. But gosh, what a unique and memorable friendship you developed. It sounded like it was more than a mentorship. It really evolved to a friendship with Senator Heflin. And if anyone knows his history and importance for not only our state, but for the United States, what a true honor that probably you felt and still do to some extent. But gosh, Derrick, you were then had the honor of clerking for UW Clemson. And if you don't know who Judge Clemson is, then you don't know your history of our state or of the civil rights movement. I know that those men made such a powerful impressions upon you. But I want to go back to something I know I've heard you say before. And while it's very impressive of your relationships and how you've been able to go through life with those, but I also know that it's important to you to stay grounded. And I want you to talk about the importance about how you stay grounded while you're having a successful law career. And here's why I bring that up. The folks who I represent, the folks who you represent, are everyday walks of life, blue collar, white collar, no collar, but they all have something in common. They need the assistance, the representation, the protection, if you will, of a lawyer. So how do you stay grounded in your relationships with your clients to be able to help them in that regard?
Well, to be real honest with you, I didn't have a choice. So mama, biggest influence, will never, ever let you forget where you came from. And then I'd be completely remiss if I didn't mention my wife, high school sweetheart. We grew up together in the country. And anytime I try to get a little less grounded, she's very quickly pulling me back in. So I didn't really have a choice. I can't take credit for that. But I will say, just being a country boy, always sort of having that chip on your shoulder helps a little bit. But the main two influences, to be honest, Bernard, would be my mom and my wife.
Well, certainly. And it's the sign of a good relationship, the sign of a good marriage and friendship is when you recognize those things. And I think it's too easy for people who find success. It doesn't have to be in the law. It could be a professional athlete. It could be any walk of life. That if you don't recognize these people that are so important to you and to us as we get along through our various stages of life, if we forget about that, then we forget about our roots. We forget about where we've come from. We lose sight of those things that are truly important. And I know that has never been your situation. I want to talk about, Derrick, I want to pivot just a little bit. You've got an awesome law firm you work with. The people who are there are friends of mine, colleagues of mine, all walks of life from all over our state and other states. But I don't know if any of them come from such a unique small town childhood and those impressionable years. And that's what I think is so unique and what you bring to that firm, among other things. But you're all colleagues, you all respect each other in a partnership, the firm, as most firms do. But talk about how what your uniqueness is to your firm, because the reason why I want to bring this up is a lot of people who don't deal with lawyers have this impression that they see maybe on TV or the movies. You know, all the lawyers they're so well dressed and they act this way, but we're just average guys. We just have maybe a little bit more education and maybe a little more focus in one area of what we do. But talk about how your uniqueness to your firm has been good for you and your firm, and how you use that a little bit.
Yeah. I'll answer the question, but I'll give you a little bit of a story too. So I am unique here. I'm the only country boy, admitted country boy. But no, I think everybody here, so these are my best friends. These guys understand people, understand they may not have gone through and lived in poverty, sort of like I did, but they understand people. They're very empathetic folks. And so while I bring a unique set of experiences to them, they're really the sort of people that they fully understand, maybe not have lived it, but sort of understand. And I'll give you a real quick story. So you know how our firm works. Most of our cases are through referral. Lawyers refer us cases. And so I used to, after clerking for Judge Clement, I went to a defense firm, as you know, for a couple years, realized I wanted to do what I'm doing now. And so when I first get here, this is back in 2007, I believe, first get here, there's a case that has been referred to David Marsh, one of the best lawyers in the state. And it's in Haleyville, Alabama. And I'm from Fayette, which geography, y'all know, is just right next to Winston County. And so they naturally think, all right, Derrick, this is the case for you. I want you to go meet the lady, tell her you're her lawyer, and we'll take it from there. So young black boy, I show up in Haleyville, Alabama, to sign up and to talk to this lady who had an awful experience, lost her husband tragically in a nursing home. It's a nursing home case. And so when I show up, her and her sons are just sort of looking at me like, so you're our lawyer? And I said, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I'm your lawyer. I work for David Marsh. And so they were just sort of watching me, sort of making sure that I knew what I was doing. We took the case. Every single deposition that I took, the family was there. I think at first wanting to know, does this guy really know what he's doing? Halfway through that case, something magical happened, Bernard, something magical. I think they saw how passionate I was, how much I cared for them and their family, and how hard I was fighting. Halfway through, I became their lawyer. It wasn't David Marsh's client. It was my client. And we went and tried that case, me and David, and we got a nice verdict in Winston. Well, it's actually in Marion County. They're from Winston. Got a big old verdict. And after that, this white woman in Haleyville, Alabama, gave me the biggest hug, tears in her eyes. And to this day, we're Facebook friends. I think we're life friends. She knows what's going on with my kids. I know what's going on with her grandkids and her kids. And so that's the uniqueness I think that I bring to the table is, we're trying to convince people to trust us. We're trying to get folks to understand that we're regular people. And if they can see you in action, if they can see you do it, I really think we're changing some minds over here. And I know you're doing the same over there, you and David.
Well, Derrick, that story is such an important one that I don't think a lot of people can appreciate until they hear it or maybe go through it. Because most people don't care for lawyers. They'll say, I hate all lawyers. Well, except for mine. Mine is the best lawyer. And that's fine. And I too, and Brother David, and I know a bunch of the attorneys at your firm may have similar stories, but that's what, to me, that's what the practice of law is all about. They start out as your clients, but through time, you develop this friendship, this relationship that I have clients going back to when I was a very young lawyer who we still send cards and I communicate with them, and I've watched their kids grow up, and they, just like what you have said. And frankly, that's one of the very foundations of why you do what you do. It's building these relationships. And guys, I'm talking with Derrick Mills, a colleague and a buddy, He works at Marsh, Reichert, and Bryan here in Birmingham. Derrick is a passionate country boy who is now in Birmingham, but a lot of those roots have never left and will never leave. And I want to pivot a little bit, Derrick, because I know another one of your passions is exercise and health and running. And when did has this always been part of your life? Is this something, do you have a wake up call? But I know now it's not, if not daily, several times a week, something part of your life. We're all busy. Everyone's busy. It doesn't matter your profession, but you've created it into a lifestyle. So share a little bit about why and how you do that.
Yeah. So I grew up an athlete and loved the game of football. It didn't love me as much. So I'm not in the NFL. But no, I was an athlete, pretty good athlete. So, yeah, it's always been physical fitness has always been a part of who I am. You get busy, Bernard, and this certainly happened to me in college, the college days, and a little bit in law school. You get busy and you forget. You really forget how important exercise is to the mind. And so what happened to me, here's my wake-up call, and not a lot of people know this, but I'll share it with you. So the wake up call was I went to my doctor. This is probably 5-6 years ago now, and I'd gained a little weight. Wasn't as focused on exercise, and cholesterol was high, blood pressure was high, and my doctor, who is great, wish I could plug him now, but I won't. My doctor said, Derrick, there's about 10 things that you need to really be doing to get better, to have some balance in your life, and also lower these numbers. And he went through all the 10. Some of them, stop stressing. Well, we both laughed because that ain't going to happen being a lawyer. You're going to stress.
Yeah.
He said, give up red meat, give up pork, give up some of these other things. And he said, but listen, I'm going to tell you, you being who I know you are, being a passionate person, won't you give up about 3 and start exercising more regularly? Mm-hmm. And so I gave up beef, I gave up pork, and I just got after it on the exercise thing. And it's funny that now people see me and say, hey, you're fit. What changed? And so I actually take offense to that because I used to be fit. I just fell off for a little bit. So no, I run just about every day, if not, at least 5 times a week. And work out with weights. But the running is important because, as a lawyer, rarely do you have time for yourself. And running is just the best way to, center those thoughts. It's just you and the road. There's nothing better than it. Nothing better.
Yeah, whether you're running, walking, or doing a combination of that, I think it's so important to be able to just clear your head a little bit. Stresses come from everywhere in our lives. Doesn't matter if it's work, family, business, whatever it is. Stress is stress. Whether it's a lot of good things or a lot of bad things, it's still stress. If you don't deal with it, you're right, Derrick. You're going to have that wake up call, or it's going to be too late. And whether you're exercising as hiking, which I love to do, or running like you do, or lifting weights, one of my and David's lifestyle that we've created many years ago when we got together in our firm is it goes onto our calendar every week. And the staff, the lawyers here, everybody, and it may be the same for you, when they see it on that calendar, that's not going to be moved for work related things. It's a lifestyle. Moving your body is so important because we sit. You and I are sitting right now. Normally, I have a stand-up desk, and I usually stand for most of the day, and it becomes uncomfortable sitting so much. We're not meant to be so sedentary.
Yeah.
But I applaud your wake-up call. I admire your ability to run as often as you can. I'm not a runner. I never have been. I hate it. I will walk all day long. I will hike as long as you want to hike. But there's just something about running that I don't know, that it's just not for me. Now, do you run in any races? Do you ever participate in those kind of things? Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah. So we're competitive people, right? So, I mean, you start running, and so you say you're not a runner. I'm going to challenge you. I disagree. I think anybody's a runner. So when I first started out doing long distance running, because as a football player, I was a sprinter, right? So start out doing long distance running. I mean, I get to 2.5 miles and I'm ready to give up. But then that's when you start running with other people and you start seeing where you fall on that spectrum, who the good runners are and who the slow runners are.
Yeah.
And so you become competitive. I have a group of friends that pushed me. And so I signed up for a half marathon. Uh, and then if you sign up for it as a lawyer and just as a person who's competitive, you're gonna do it and you're gonna try to do your best. And so each time I've signed up for a half marathon, the training increases big time. You increase the mileage and you try to do better and get your pace faster each time. So yeah, I've run several half marathons. I've yet to commit to a full marathon. Some of my friends say I'm going to. I'm not so sure, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well,
I'll post it if I do.
Well, I look forward to seeing that. Brother Dave runs about 4 miles each of his outings, so he may be the better Nomberg brother to join you for that.
Yep.
Anytime you want to go for a hike, my friend, I welcome that. We've got just a couple of more minutes. I'm talking with Derrick Mills. We're having a good conversation. Just two old athletes, just trying to make it through a day, getting our exercise in. Derrick, as I mentioned earlier, most people who've never dealt with lawyers, they may watch on the internet, YouTube, wherever it may be, slick ads. Come to our firm, we get all the best results. You know, those things, a briefcase, walking into court, coming out of court, very impressive. Well, that's not the reality. That's what the firms, a lot of firms want to show people.
Right.
To me, that's very intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if I've never dealt with a lawyer, I want to know immediately how much is it going to cost for me to pick up the phone and talk to a lawyer for even 15 minutes, a consult. What most people don't know is typically there is no cost. Typically, for the work you and I do, it's all contingency based, which means if we don't win, if we don't settle the case for compensation, if we don't try our case to a jury verdict or get a verdict, we don't get paid.
Yeah.
So here's my question that I'd like for you to share a little bit about. How do you and your firm break down those barriers for people who call who are very potentially timid or intimidated to talk to lawyers because they may think or assume incorrectly, man, this is going to cost me so much money. How do you all deal with that?
Yeah. So like I said, most of our cases are referred. And so hopefully the referring lawyer has done some of that on the front end, but every single case that we take, we will get the client into our office and we want to hear their story. If anybody has gone to our website, they'll know that that's our big thing is we're in the business of trying cases and going to trial. We're trial lawyers, but at the end of the day, all we are storytellers. And we use the tools that we have, the rules of evidence, rules of civil procedure, things like that. We use those tools at our, disposal that we have, but we're just telling the story. And it starts from that initial meeting. I want them to talk to me, Bernard, like I'm in their living room, like we're at the ball field. I want them to sit like we're having a beer. I want them to tell me how this happened, what happened, and I want them to tell me how it makes them feel. And a lot of times, more often than not, that story ends up being the major theme in the case. That theme in the case is in opening statement and in closing argument. And so if I've done my job, I've listened, and I've put their story into this case. And, just talking to me right now, I don't have a problem with understanding and disarming people, because if you're intimidated by me, then I don't know, I don't know what's wrong with you. Because no, I'm definitely not intimidating. Now, I can be intimidating to other lawyers, but certainly not to the clients. And so that's what we do. We just listen, Bernard.
And I know that pre-COVID, going out to homes like the original story you shared, that's very common. A lot of people don't understand that we don't just sit behind a desk all day. We get out and we meet folks at Shoney's. We meet folks at their home. We may meet them at a barbecue place. That's one of my favorites, and I need to quit doing that, but need to find it a little healthier. But getting out of the office and going to where people are a little more comfortable sharing their story, because coming to any law office it can be intimidating because folks don't do that on the regular. I do want to mention, speaking of your firm's website, I posted a link in the comments in the show notes here. So anybody who wants to reach out to Derrick, I've got his bio page link pulled up and I've pinned it so you guys can easily reach Derrick. And as we conclude, my friend, I know that as we're coming out of the pandemic, I know there's a lot of discussion that there may be this variant coming back. I know, but tell how your firm is dealing with client relations and meetings and things. So if somebody calls you up and says, Mr. Mills, I want to consult with you. How are you guys handling it these days?
Multiple ways, and it's back to what you were saying about their comfort level and them. We're trying to break down these barriers that, everything is super duper official. We can meet them where they are. Bernard, I do in-person meetings now, but during the pandemic at its height, everything was via Zoom, and we have the technology. And thank you for allowing me to do this now via Zoom. I mean, with the technology now, we can do everything remotely. But it's still nothing quite like, Bernard, actually meeting them where they are. So whatever they're comfortable with, if they're comfortable coming into the office, we have masks here. We can do whatever is best for them. But I promise you, by the end of that meeting, they're going to know, if it's a case I can take, they're going to know that I care about their situation, that I can fight for them, and that I'm here for them. And so that's whatever they want to do, we're comfortable with that.
And are you still good with taking meetings back at home in Fayette County?
My mom is so happy right now because I just actually concluded a case in Fayette, but I spent so much time in my hometown over the last year. It made her happy. So yeah, no, I still do a lot of work in Fayette. I'm still home a whole lot.
One of my first trials was with Judge Moore in Fayette County many, many years ago. Great case, great outcome. I still appreciate what he did for us. And my humble apologies to your mother for misspeaking earlier. But Derrick, thank you so much for spending some time. I truly enjoyed our conversation. Derrick Mills with Marsh, Reichert, and Bryan Law Firm, a colleague and a true friend. Thank you, Derrick.
All right. Thank you. Take care, my man.
Thank you, guys. As we do each week, this is another just awesome conversation. That's why I do them every week. It's interesting people in their areas of expertise, and Derrick Mills certainly fits that bill. Keep coming back each Tuesday at 10 o'clock Central, 8 a.m. Pacific. You guys have a safe week, and we will catch you next week.